So get ready, because today we are diving into something pretty unique.
Okay.
Stoic marketing. Yeah, you heard right. We're going to be talking about ancient philosophy, but like in the modern marketing world.
I know, right?
Our source, it's the purpose statement for a book. The book is called Stoic Marketing, Integrating Ancient Wisdom with Modern Strategies.
Catchy.
It is, right? And it's by Daniel Chicot and Christian Petrini. So think of this deep dive as like your cheat sheet to this whole concept. We'll unpack what Stoic marketing is, why it matters, now, and most importantly, what you can like actually use from it in your work and life.
And I think it's fascinating how a philosophy from 2,000 years ago can have such powerful insights for the challenges that we face as marketers today.
Totally. So the book starts by painting this picture of like the current marketing scene. And I bet it's going to sound, familiar to a lot of you listening. It's this like whirlwind of information overload and like cutthroat competition, constant tech shifts, and pressure to get results.
And
Fast. Yeah, exactly. Does that sound familiar?
Who isn't feeling that these days?
Oh, no, right? And so into this arena steps Stoicism. But it's not like with a bag of tricks. It's with this like whole new mindset.
Exactly. It's not about quick fixes,
Yeah.
It's about building resilience and making ethical choices and remembering what really matters. And those are qualities that have lasting value.
Totally. Okay, so for anyone who maybe needs like a quick refresh, Stoicism comes from ancient Greece and Rome, big thinkers, right?
Yeah.
Seneca, Epictetus, even, Emperor Marcus Aurelius was into it.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius.
They were dealing with some serious stuff, wars, plagues, political intrigue. And their philosophy was all about how to find inner peace, like amidst the chaos.
And what's striking is how relevant their ideas are to marketing today. You take the core principle of focusing on what you can control.
Right.
In a world where algorithms change on a dime and consumer trends, they're fickle. It's easy to feel powerless. But Stoicism, it reminds us that we can control our efforts. We control our strategies, the quality of our work. So imagine like you're launching a new product. Instead of stressing over, what are the competitors going to do?
Right.
You pour your energy into creating the best possible launch campaign you can, and that is Stoicism in action.
That makes so much sense. It's like shifting your focus from worrying about the stuff you can't control to like mastering what you can influence.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of things outside of our control, that leads us to the next Stoic principle.
Okay.
Accepting the uncontrollable.
Accepting the uncontrollable. Yeah, it doesn't mean giving up or being passive, though, right? It's about acknowledging that there will always be external factors that we just can't manipulate. Market fluctuations, economic downturns, even a global pandemic. These things happen.
They do.
But Stoicism says, okay, well, how do we prepare for that? The inevitable. How do we build adaptability into our strategy so we can pivot when we need to?
So it's less about like freaking out when things go wrong and more about having like a plan B ready to roll.
Precisely. And this ties into the next principle, acting with ethics and integrity. In today's world where consumers are bombarded with messages, and skepticism is high, authenticity is gold.
Yeah.
Stoic marketing says build brands and campaigns that not only sell but also contribute positively.
Okay.
Think Patagonia telling people to buy less.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. They are prioritizing sustainability over short-term profit. And that resonates with their audience.
Oh, yeah, big time. It shows that they're not all talks, they're walking the walk.
Exactly.
Okay, who else is rocking the Stoic marketing approach?
Well, consider the leadership style of Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
He built the company on this long-term vision, emphasizing a strong company culture and social impact initiatives.
Right.
He couldn't control things like the volatile coffee market. But he could control how Starbucks operated, how they treated their employees, and the values that they embodied.
So he focused his energy on building a solid foundation from like the inside out.
Yeah.
Which is, very much in line with focusing on what you can control.
Right. And it's worth noting that Stoic marketing isn't just for these big names like Patagonia or Starbucks, These principles are just as valuable for smaller companies, startups, even individual freelancers.
So no matter where you are in your career, there's something to gain from this. That's good. That's encouraging. But what about us?
Yeah.
Us regular folks who aren't CEOs or running global brands. How do these principles translate to our everyday, work lives?
That's where it gets really interesting. So let's say you're a freelance writer who just lost a big client.
Oof.
Yeah. It's easy to like spiral into self-doubt and frustration.
Oh, yeah.
But with a Stoic marketing mindset, you shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on that loss, you ask, okay, well, what did I learn from this? How can I, refine my skills? What new opportunities can I explore?
So it's about turning that initial, shock into a chance to grow and adapt instead of letting it derail you.
Exactly. It's about seeing setbacks as these inevitable parts of the journey, not personal failures. And this ties into another key takeaway from the book, which is the importance of balancing reason and emotion.
Okay.
So it's not about becoming an emotionless robot, right? But it's about recognizing that emotions play a role in every decision we make, even in marketing.
I can see that. For example, when you're creating a marketing campaign, data and analytics are essential, but like understanding the emotional needs and motivations of your audience is just as critical.
Absolutely. And if you ignore that emotional aspect, your message will fall flat, no matter how data-driven it is. Let's say, for example, you're marketing a new fitness tracker.
Okay.
You could focus solely on its features and specs. Or you could tap into the emotions your audience wants to feel, confidence, empowerment, accomplishment, and weave that into your messaging.
Yeah. So it's about combining the head and the heart, the data and the human element, which seems like a good approach, not just for marketing, but life in general.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, so we've seen how these Stoic marketing principles, they show up in the real world, from big brands to individual freelancers. But the question remains, how can we, the listeners, actually start putting these ideas into practice in our own work and lives? That's what we'll explore the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back. So last time we got the rundown, on Stoic marketing, what it is, why it matters now, and those core principles that feel, surprisingly timely.
Yeah, definitely.
But how does all this actually play out in the real world?
Well, the book has some really compelling examples of companies and leaders who are putting these Stoic principles into action. And sometimes, they're even doing it without realizing it.
So they're like accidental Stoics paving the way for the rest of us. Exactly. And what's fascinating is that these examples, they aren't just from one industry. We see Stoic marketing at work in tech, retail, nonprofits. It's truly adaptable.
Okay, so spill the beans. Give us some of those inspiring examples.
All right, let's start with Patagonia. They're famous for their commitment to environmental and social responsibility, even encouraging customers to repair their clothes instead of buying new ones. Remember that "Don't buy this jacket" Black Friday ad?
Oh yeah, that was bold.
Yeah.
Especially for a company selling jackets.
Right, and that's pure Stoic marketing, prioritizing values and long-term impact over short-term gains.
Yeah.
They're willing to potentially lose some sales to stay true to their principles, and that resonates, with their audience.
Big time.
Yeah.
Because they're not all talk, they're walking the walk.
Exactly.
Okay, who else is rocking the Stoic marketing approach?
Well, consider the leadership style of Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks.
Oh yeah.
He built the company on this long-term vision, emphasizing a strong company culture and social impact initiatives.
Okay.
Now, he couldn't control things like, the volatile coffee market, but he could control how Starbucks operated, how they treated their employees, and the values that they embodied.
So he focused his energy on building a solid foundation, from the inside out.
Yeah.
Which is, very in line with focusing on what you can control.
Right. And it's worth noting that Stoic marketing isn't just for these big names like Patagonia or Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
These principles are just as valuable for smaller companies, startups, even individual freelancers.
So no matter where you are in your career, there's something to gain from this approach.
Yeah, definitely.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
But what about for us? Us regular folks who aren't CEOs or running global brands.
Right.
How do these principles translate to our everyday, work lives?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. So let's say you're a freelance writer who just lost a big client. Yeah. It's easy to spiral into self-doubt and frustration.
Yeah, right.
But with a Stoic marketing mindset, you can shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on that loss, you ask yourself, okay, what did I learn from this? How can I refine my skills? What new opportunities can I explore?
So it's about turning that initial shock into a chance to grow and adapt
Yeah.
instead of letting it like totally derail you.
Exactly. It's about seeing setbacks as these like inevitable parts of the journey, not personal failures. And this ties into another key takeaway from the book, which is the importance of balancing reason and emotion. It's not about becoming an emotionless robot, right?
Right.
But recognizing that emotions play a role in every decision we make, even in marketing.
Yeah,
Right.
I could see that. Like, for example, when you're creating a marketing campaign, data and analytics are essential.
Mm-hmm.
But like, understanding the emotional needs and motivations of your target audience is just as critical.
Absolutely. And if you ignore that emotional aspect, your message will fall flat, no matter how data-driven it is. Let's say you are, for example, marketing a new fitness tracker.
Okay.
You could focus just on the features and the specs, or you could tap into the emotions your audience wants to feel: confidence, empowerment, accomplishment, and weave that into your messaging.
Yeah. So it's about like combining the head and the heart.
Right.
The data and the human element.
Exactly.
Which seems like a good approach, not just for marketing, but for life in general.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, so we've seen how these Stoic marketing principles show up in the real world, from big brands to like individual freelancers. But the question is, how can we actually start putting these ideas into practice in our own work and lives? That's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. All right, welcome back, deep divers. So we've explored what Stoic marketing is, why it matters now, and we've even seen it like in action with some pretty inspiring examples.
Yeah.
But the big question now is, how can you actually start incorporating these, powerful principles like into your own work and life?
Yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
But the good news is the book gives some very practical advice for how to like make this philosophy actionable.
Okay.
And it all starts with that mindset shift we've been talking about, Remember, Stoicism isn't about like suppressing your emotions or becoming a robot.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating this inner calm and clarity so you can face challenges with resilience and purpose.
Okay, so how do we train our brains to do that? I mean, it's not like flipping a switch, right?
Right. It takes practice. And one of the, I think, most effective suggestions the authors offer is to start like a daily Stoic reflection practice.
Okay.
So that could involve, reading a passage from Marcus Aurelius or Seneca, journaling about your thoughts, or just even taking a few moments to reflect on the Stoic principles and how they apply to your day.
So it's like building a mental muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. And the stronger your Stoic muscle, the better equipped you'll be to handle those, inevitable curveballs that life throws at you, both professionally and personally.
Yeah. Can you give us like an example of how this might, play out, like in a real life scenario?
Absolutely. So let's say you're leading a marketing campaign, and despite, all your planning and everything, it's not gaining traction. You start to feel that pressure, that urge to panic. Now, a Stoic approach wouldn't be to just ignore those feelings or pretend everything's fine. Right. It's about, acknowledging them and then asking yourself, okay, well, what parts of this situation are actually within my control?
Right.
What actions can I take to, try to course correct? And what parts are outside my control? What do I just need to accept?
That's a really useful framework, I think, for separating what you can influence from what you can't. Like it feels empowering almost.
Yeah, it is. It allows you to like channel your energy into constructive action rather than wasting it on worry or frustration.
Right.
And another practical tip from the book is to focus on building strong relationships.
Yeah.
Based on trust and mutual respect.
Yeah. That seems like a no-brainer, but I can see how it's easy to get caught up in like the competitive side of things and kind of forget that like human connection is at the heart of it all.
Yeah, it's true. And Stoic marketing reminds us that ethical action and integrity are, essential for building those lasting relationships.
Yeah.
It's about creating win-win situations where everyone benefits instead of resorting to like those cutthroat tactics that ultimately erode trust.
So collaboration over manipulation.
Exactly.
Long-term value over short-term gains.
Yeah. And this ties into the idea of finding meaning and purpose in your work. Yeah. Stoic marketing encourages us to ask ourselves, how can I use my skills and talents to make a positive contribution to the world?
That's a powerful question. I think a lot of people especially in the often chaotic world of marketing, are craving that sense of purpose, you know?
Totally. And when you feel that alignment between your work and your values, it can fuel your motivation, your creativity.
Yeah.
It becomes less about chasing the next, big sale
Yeah.
and more about making a genuine difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So to recap, we've talked about, starting a daily Stoic reflection practice. We've talked about separating what you can control from what you can't, building those strong ethical relationships, and finding that, deeper sense of purpose in your work. Those are pretty solid takeaways. But it sounds like this isn't like a one and done kind of thing.
Right.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah. Stoicism is about continuous learning, growth, and self-reflection. It's about embracing the virtues of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance.
Those are some pretty high ideals. But I can see how cultivating those qualities, could lead to a more fulfilling, more meaningful life, both personally and professionally.
And that's ultimately what Stoic marketing is all about, It's not a magic formula. It's a framework for navigating the complexities of the modern world with wisdom, integrity, and grace.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Stoic marketing, I want to leave you with this thought. What if, instead of getting swept away by the chaos of, the modern world, what if we could use it as like an opportunity to cultivate inner strength, resilience, purpose? What if we could approach our work, our lives, with a sense of calm and clarity and intention, even in the midst of all the uncertainty and change? That's the power of Stoicism. It's not easy, but it is definitely worth exploring.
Couldn't agree more. It's a journey of self-discovery, and it can lead to some really profound rewards.
Absolutely. And until next time, keep diving deep, everyone.